Hey guys, Rick Stone here from Our Stony Acres. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Glad to have you here. Please make sure while you're here that you subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so that you get notice of the other videos that we'll be publishing for sure this month. We publish at least 4 new videos every month, so make sure you subscribe so that you follow up on those. Okay, so this is the July edition of our monthly planting guide series for zones 3 and 4, okay? And this is going to be already starting to move into cool season stuff for you guys, because I recognize that, you know, frost is maybe as early as 60 days away for you, could possibly even be sooner than that, and so your thinking is going to be switching off a warm season to cool season. And I'm going to break the video into 2 pieces here. Again, we're going to do zone 3 and then zone 4 because there is some temperature differences and frost date differences between the 2 of you, and so you'll be thinking a little bit differently. And recognize that, you know, I know that you guys are cold and that you have very short growing seasons, so do your best and get after it. There are still some things that you can be planting in July. Okay, so for zones 3, we're already going to be shifting gears back into cool season crops. So you've probably got your tomatoes going and your cucumbers and your beans and things like that, but you know, time is already running out and it's a little bit too late for you guys to try and plant anything else that's warm season. And so you're going to kind of shift gears back into cool season crops, and there are several things that you can be growing, you know, planting out in your garden in July. The first of which are some root crops. So you could be planting beets, you could be planting turnips, and you could be planting carrots all in your garden this month. And then you're also going to want to start thinking about getting in all of the brassica family plants. So those are the things like broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kohlrabi, Brussels sprouts, kale, collards, all of those, which are, you know, those are cool season crops. They're, you know, going to stand up to frost pretty well, and so you can start thinking about getting those out into your garden again as well. So you may have already done some of those, but you could do a second planting, get those in, and still expect to have a harvest this year. The other thing that you can start thinking about as well in zone 3 would be leafy greens. So things will start to cool off here in the next 30 to 45 days, and just about that time will be the time for you to start harvesting things like lettuce, arugula, spinach, Swiss chard, kale. All of those leafy greens could go in now, and you'll have those ready to go as the weather starts to cool off. One other thing that you could try would be peas, and I'm going to leave that up to you guys to maybe ask around to your local friends and family. Usually peas need about, you know, 8 to 10 weeks in the fall to mature. If you're going to try some peas in the fall, I would probably go with like a sugar snap pea or a snow pea, one that you don't have to rely on the peas developing completely inside the pod. So you could eat the pod even if the peas didn't develop completely. So if you wanted to try some peas, you definitely could give it a go and see what happens in your area. And you know, it's really going to vary in your area depending on when your cold weather really starts showing up again, but you could definitely give that a go as well. Okay, now let's switch over to zone 4. You guys are a little bit warmer, and so there are a few really kind of short growing season, warm season crops that you might still be able to sneak in. I would say you probably would only want to plant these early in July when you have at least 10 weeks before your first frost. And that would be things like beans, maybe some really short season corn. So there are some varieties that grow in about 60 to 70 days. You might be able to sneak some of those in. And then your summer squashes like zucchini, Pattypan squash, and yellow crookneck, those could still go in. Again, if you've got 8 to 10 weeks until that first frost. And then you could also probably maybe try and sneak in some cucumbers as well, especially if you happen to have some starts. You might be able to get some cucumbers going as well. Now, from transplants, you guys could also kind of shift gears towards the end of the month and get some transplants in for broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kohlrabi, kale, Brussels sprouts, all of those would be able to go in towards the end of the month as well. And then from seed, you guys should be able to plant some beets, carrots, turnips, kale, lettuce, spinach, Swiss chard, arugula, bok choy, you know, any of the Asian greens would all do pretty well, especially if you waited, you know, towards the middle or the end of July, so that you're about 8 weeks out from your first frost. That's a really good time. You know, 8 weeks out is a great time to get those leafy greens back in, because weather will start to cool down for you, and then you can have a nice harvest of those, you know, 8 to 10 weeks after you planted them. So that is what you can plant in zones 3 and 4 during the month of July. Okay, so that is what we're going to do for this month. We will do another planting guide for August, and maybe we'll talk a little bit in September, but then you guys, when we move into October, November, December, it gets a little bit too cold for you guys to do much planting. But we will do some more talk in August, so come back and check in for that one as well. One thing that I did want to mention is make sure that you take a look down in the description. There is a link to our year-round gardening course and also a link to the Gardening Academy. Those are both really great programs that I think that you guys, especially in the colder areas, would benefit from. So take a look at those. The links are down below, and it'll take you out and explain, you know, everything about those different programs to you down below. So take a look at those. Okay. Thanks again for coming. Make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, leave your comments down below. What experiences have you guys had planting in July in zones 3 and 4? And are there any things that I missed? Make sure you add those to the list down below. Okay, thanks guys. Everybody have a great week. Happy gardening.